What's up, fam? We're back. Is this our first sequel?
Yes.
Right, check that
out.
Oh,
y'all are the first ones back.
Let's go. Big dog, what's up, man? So we got home base in the house, and if you guys tuned into the last one, I think it was actually one of our bigger hitting episodes, by the way.
For sure.
I think top 3.
Yeah. Okay. For sure.
Okay.
Top 3. We have.
I had a couple of people bring it up a couple times. So
some virality in there. We had a couple of clips go viral. So we're, at that time, our version of viral, right? But
we're like, we got to bring it back on. Jesus.
Yeah, man. So if you guys don't know us, we're the Professional Hippies. We like to bridge the gap between high achieving professionals and like the hippie woo woo. Try and find that meaty middle, somewhere in the middle. So we'll do a little bit of an intro and get back with Brian and the boys. All right, boys, let's remember our training. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends. We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
And we back. Oh man, so we're catching. So I am actually genuinely curious. It's like not even like a fluffy intro. Like, what does a laser assassin mean?
Yeah.
It was before Laser Assassins. So it was before they put a title on it, had Devin, Nerd Rage, DJ for them and stuff. I was just doing some gigs for Brooks, who owns the laser company. So
okay.
Yeah.
Dope. So we were talking about Justin Perry, plug. It's going to be coming on in a couple weeks from Cavant Lasers. Woo. And do you guys ever do any work with Cavant? Or like when it comes to production, how do you outsource that? What goes into...
Yeah, so normally we use Guerrilla Productions. They're based out of like Ocala. They've done a really great job with us. Brooks has also stepped up from Laser Assassins on doing all of our lasers any time of our shows. And they kind of he grew with us, when we were back at these little townhouse units, and it was just a much more smaller group of like 600 people. And he would come out and bring out all these lasers for a silent disco kind of thing. And he just like really supported what we're trying to do. So it's really cool how he's just kind of followed with us, and then we just started adding more lasers, started adding bigger setups. And it's like, damn, like you went up, leveled up a bit.
I love that right there. More lasers. That's what I need in my life. More lasers.
He starts backing up with the semi one day. You're like, hey, man, what's going on here?
That's the truth, though. Like, he gets an order for 5. He brings 15,
Yeah. That's the way to do it, man. Over-deliver.
Yeah.
Right? So Brian, for any of the audience, because we have grown a little bit since the last time you were on, just kind of fill everybody in on, who you guys are, where you're at, and, what's what.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Brian Thomas. I am with Home Base, owner-operator. We operate out of a company that's Music Festival Trips. It's a travel agency, event promoter, event producer. We also now have a Groove event agency, which has grown from the Grove up in Wesley Chapel. We now manage a venue up there. It's a 5-year contract. We're growing on different kinds of festivals, everything from country to craft beer to family-friendly events, and it's kind of scaling up. So, and Darren over here has been with me from the ground up on building up everything there, and I'll let him do the intro on his side.
You probably do a good job if you do it, But my name's Darren Scott, operations director of Home Base, and just basically everything MFT. But like you said, our portfolio has grown significantly. From going back to 2015 when we had like one resort called the MFT Resort, and then branding the MFT Resort Home Base, and then scaling that from the townhome units or whatever to the hotel buyouts. And, by default, not even on purpose, we just outgrow each hotel to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And it's happening,
Yeah, a lot of organic growth. I remember that from the last time we spoke, that it was like a grassroots movement. That's where that hustle muscle came in.
Yeah,
right?
The hustle muscle, man.
Yeah, dude. So at the beginning, I think about like, you're just putting in like the sweat equity to just put the word out. And then when you have a good enough product, good enough service, people are just organically recommending it out.
Yep.
And it was so funny. After you came on the podcast, we ran into a couple people that had like personal experiences.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
And that was just so cool to see. It's like you buy a car, then you see it everywhere. right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden home base is on my radar, and it's like, holy, they're like, yeah, Brian, we're like, dude, I had friends who were like, yo, you know him? I'm like, I've met him then, you know, like that's how we
They were
met.
like, I raged on his buses. It was insane.
So Brian's like, just, you know, you are the Jesus to party. It's like everything comes through me, man.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I actually when I used to go out to like Water or Hogan's Beach back in the day, some guy was like, dude, you have no idea. You have changed my life. Every girl I've met on Tinder is a mutual friend of Brian Thomas. And that's how I started my conversation. I'm like, dude.
What about Vegas? We're in Vegas and we're talking to some girl and she's on the phone. She's at the airport and I was just testing her out. I was like, just go up to some random person that looks like they're going to EDC and ask them if they know Brian Thomas. And she goes up to some random person on the phone. She's like, do you know Brian Thomas? And the girl goes, from Tampa? And we were just dying, some rando. But I kind of live this like back life where I get to watch it. You know, someone came up to me once and was like, is that Brian Thomas? I'm like, yeah. They're like, here, take a picture of us. And they just like give me their phone. And now I'm taking a picture of them with Brian Thomas. You know?
The Brian Thomas.
It's yeah.
Oh, shit. I had no
Nice.
idea. Make sure I get that autograph.
We got to get him like anointed or whatever, you know, like Sir Brian Thomas.
What are you talking about? Oh, I was going to say, I was like, he's the one that does the anointing, man. So what are you up to right now? You know, if we took a snapshot of where you're at right now and like where your vision's heading, like what are you building toward?
Yeah. So, I mean, our last conversation was right before Dirtybird CampInn. We obviously hit that out of the ballpark. I got to say, it was a masterpiece. When you looked at the whole operations, the flow, the marketing, how it was presented, honestly, we were living in what the vision was over a year and a half through COVID. With that vision coming to life and where we're at with home base for EDC Orlando, it's completely sold out. And, you know, where we're going with on the Grove, which is totally separate, different events. You know, we're growing our team much more substantially now. Dirtybird CampInn will happen for 2022, and now we're looking at other brands to be partnering with and growing the resort experience. So, you know, if it's building out of just Orlando or beyond, I have looked at other locations. I think it's on our radar. Right now, we're going to focus right now for Florida because obviously we are open more than any other space, and we're going to build on some really cool branded resort takeovers as a destination event. I like to kind of, you know, it is a destination event, and when you look at the ones that are going on in Mexico and everything else, there's something special about going out to Orlando and raging, you know, in a domestic region. So I'm really stoked about the direction we're heading in.
Yeah, and when you think about the amount of people, like we were blown away. Like we met like what, 3 people from Tampa?
Yeah, there was only about 3 people. Everyone West Coast, maybe
6
north,
people from
maybe
Florida,
north, but
you know,
it was awesome. People were more surprised meeting us than were of them because they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're from Florida? That's crazy!"
Everybody was from everywhere else. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we really attracted with with Dirtybird. Like there's such a West Coast audience. You know, next week we have Dirtybird Camp Out, which will be my first time working on a festival in the on the West Coast. So I'm really excited to see how the audience is there and compared to Dirtybird CampInn. But I think we're going to see something very similar on the vibe.
A lot of similarities, I think.
Yeah.
And just to even like bring that in and frame that, right? So if you're listening to this, watching this. So we were originally exposed to your Dirtybird CampInn production when you came on, actually, and then we did the research. We're like, hey, no brainer, go to it. But so you have 2 kind of completely different things going on in like the music festival scene, and then with the Grove, right? The Grove is much more geared towards like family friendly, you know, all ages kind of thing, where you're kind of a totally different demographic with what we discussed when last time you were on, right?
Yeah, it's totally different. You know, we actually just hosted our first event, which was the Chapel Chop. It was a concert / vendor market, full setup of a beer, barbecue, and music festival. You know, there's all sorts of challenges when it comes to creating these kind of things from the ground up, which I think Darren could relate on what we had to go through on making a lot of things happen. But we delivered a high quality event that really showcased what can be brought to the area. And I'm you know, as I oversee or, you know, look at it again, it's just been it's been really awesome just seeing how the kids came during the day. You know, they got all sorts of things to do. Then you go over to the VIP area and it's fully activated with everything going on with the, you know, beer and, you know, families having fun, you know, an area where they never get this kind of entertainment and full stage production like we did. So, yeah, we had the Plain White Tees playing there, We the Kings, you know, that kind of takes us back to our days when, you know, we were jamming to some alternative rock and stuff.
100%, bro. I saw those posters and I was like, I had a little nostalgic, you know, a little throwback. And I was like, Plain White Tees, bro.
It was sick.
Yeah.
It was sick. And I miss a good hotel party, though. I think I'm really spoiled getting to work in a hotel, working from an office and then going and working in a hotel. You know, you have Imagine Festival and you have the Chapel Chop. I got so sunburned, you know, like
Really?
I'm just not ready for the outside, you know, like just fully AC pools and stuff like that with the hotel parties. And then going back outside, you forget that you need a hat and sunscreen. And so
100%.
Definitely really spoiled working in the, you know, the music festival scene, but the hotel version of that, you know, you don't have to deal with rain or any of those things. So.
Yeah. And so, like, speaking of rain, right? I mean, let's hop into Imagine, bro.
Yeah.
What about that?
Weather, man, it's so tricky. You know, you look at from Tomorrow World on the incidents that happened from that, and you know, we all are very we're well aware about the situation that all went down. You know, with the weather and just being prepared, and you know, the grounds are very. They're very sensitive to, you know, any kind of inclined weather. And, you know, once we started seeing the storm and the disbursement of things going on from Nicholas that was coming up, I was like, oh shit, this is actually coming at us. And I like, you know, I was like, dude, we still have to keep on preparing for this festival, you know, in case it is still moving forward. I felt, you know, at the time we were still going to be moving forward because, you know, Glenn, the owner of Imagine, we're really good friends. We would go at it 120, 150%, and we were still moving on the ground like it was. And we were still recruiting. I was bringing on more heads. So at the event, I was running the work exchange department of volunteers. So we were getting really, really loaded up, you know, for additional help that'll be on the grounds on directing people in, making sure they had, you know, somebody to talk to as they got into the festival. We were getting ready, the whole grounds laid out. We were assisting on doing striping on the grounds. That means setting up all the parking spots for all the cars.
10,000 of them.
Oh my god.
So that's a new skill. That I didn't know I was good at.
Yeah.
So now I'm a pro.
Yeah, and honestly, like in a market like with what's going on in the economy, it's just so interesting. You know, you find out like these essential items for this festival to run are just at crazy high price points, and you're talking about like something as little as power going up a couple $100,000 in pricing on a 35,000 person festival. So like, you know, there's so many different factors when there's weather coming in and being prepared, and just because of the history of what has gone on there, it was the best route to go on pulling the cancellation, making sure that everything was cleared on it.
What happens in an event like that? Like insurance kick in or what?
Yeah. So there's weather cancellation insurance. It's all very, you know, it's technical on making sure that everything is crossed off on. And, you know, when we look at it, when we were on site, when the rain started coming in, it's very easy for those grounds to.
I mean, just talk attendance, you know, like from doing back in the day 200 person events to 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 35,000. That changes everything. Having 35,000 people come into one venue at one time, like, you know, the grass is okay now.
Yeah.
But 35,000 people later, it's not okay anymore, and then vehicles are stuck, and it's.
I was at Tomorrow World when that went down.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a beautiful experience. But a lot of substances will assist in that. Right? Like, you know, like when I looked around, we had the one spot that was like a little bit more elevated, and somebody in our group brought a paratroopers parachute. So we had like this 30-foot pole that went up and this parachute that splayed out over our little campground. And so most of the rain just went off of us and fucked other people. And then that combined with our little molehill that we were on, the 8 tenths that we had, we were raised up like just enough. And then, but everywhere else was devastation, man. It was like a foot of water just because some areas that I guess you just would put the tents or just bowl in a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no like, it's not sitting up like on a hill or anything. It's just certain parts are just bowled out and just trap water.
Yeah, so that year of Tomorrow World was the 1 year I didn't go with the bus going up, but the bus went up, and Luke was running that trip, and he had called me. He's like, dude, there's a big storm going on.
Yeah.
and they had told me anybody who had an air mattress, they were kind of lifted off the ground, but anybody who was not on an air mattress, dude, your tent was either sunk or in a really sticky situation. Yeah.
It was really gnarly.
I was excited for it. I had my car packed. I was gonna go by myself to imagine.
Right.
I had my car packed, and I was like, all right, 5-minute break. I'm gonna relax for a second before going, and I pull up my phone, canceled, and I was like, I was ready for the mud show. Yeah. I was like, I know what it's going to be. I know tons of people are going to be unprepared.
I need this.
And I was like, I want to watch this chaos just go down. And I was bringing the podcast equipment. I was going to set it up while everyone was freaking out. Just like, so how you doing?
Yeah. I won't forget that call when we were in the office. I was in the trailer, and they had called on the walkies. They needed a director meeting at this time in the horse stable mansion going on. And I was like, that could be two things right now. Yeah. On a 3 o'clock on a Wednesday or Thursday.
It was Thursday. Yeah, 16 hours before the doors open.
Yeah. Halting setup. Something's going on.
Stop striping. Just stop.
Yeah, no, it was wild. It was wild.
I was wondering, like, because I saw you out there, I saw you getting ready and volunteering. I was like, what is Brian doing out there for Imagine? Like, I did not realize y'all were that in deep. Yeah. Even with that.
Yeah, so like I met Glenn from Imagine back in 2013 when we did our first bus trip up to Magnetic Music Festival, and he invited me out to bring like our whole group to an after party. I had no idea he was the owner of Imagine, and Imagine was much smaller at that point. And when we connected at that point, he was like, dude, you're a dope guy. You're bringing like 180 people to my club, on buses, and you paid on time and everything else. Dude, I'd love to work with you again. And I sent him like a thank you card afterwards, and he was like, dude, nobody sends thank you cards. This is kind of crazy. Some people just send me an email, but like he really loved my vibe, and he gave me the opportunity of being a director of Work Exchange for 1 year. I kept on growing that position over the years. For this year, we're like, I guess, director of striping, director of staff camping, staff parking. We were running all of the restroom units. That's 210 units on the campgrounds. So we were facilitating all the operations on showers, shower units.
I think people forget a lot of times. Like, there's the whole setup for where we're camping at, but then people forget about the staff back there.
Let's just appreciate Brian's ability to promote. Okay?
Amazing.
This is going to get lost, and a lot of people are going to recognize this, but I know what that just was, and it's just an artful ability to take whatever opportunity you have and make sure everyone understands how much care goes into. I mean, that is the definition of turning shit into gold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's taking every opportunity you're given and just craft it in such a way where, like, I mean, I was gripped hearing about 210 porta potties right there. I mean, that's beautiful, dude. That's beautiful right there. Take notes at home.
The numbers.
Yeah, dude.
I've stared at these every day.
No, I'm serious. I think about the art of promotion, like when back in sales and like branch managing. It's like that right there is like every single detail fucking matters. And when you're given an opportunity, people above you want to see how much you care about the opportunities you're given. So it's like I'm tongue in cheek, but that is a real skill that I don't know if you are consciously aware that you're doing or not. But that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's just the way I move.
I was just saying, I think a lot of people forget how much, because you were talking about you do staff, you were setting up staff camps, operations, porta potties, things like that. I think people forget, like, there's a whole nother world behind the scenes of these festivals of logistics that have to be set up just for the people that are taking care of you.
Yeah,
while you're having a good time at these festivals. And I always try to peek back there and just see what's going on. But like, how many people were you planning? Like, what was the number of people that you were having?
We were shooting for 400 Work Exchange members.
Whoa!
Our staff working on site was, I think we're at 9 or 11 that was working and managing those volunteers.
Yeah, just us.
And
wow.
And a lot of the, like, when you look at all those roles of the Work Exchange members, they play very important pieces of it. It's not just flagging and going to a parking spot, because that's that's pretty essential. But like, you know, we're managing like the info booths, you know, the lost and found, where people get information, making sure that, you know, that
staff catering.
Yeah, the catering, you know, helping clean up in the back, and, you know, making sure that's the area staying clean for all the workers that are coming on site. I mean, what did we have? How many RVs were pulling into there? There was 150, 200 RVs.
Shout out Unity Travel for crushing that, bringing in all those RVs for the staff, getting them all in, loaded in. And there's a shortage of everything right now because of COVID, because of Hurricane Ida took all the golf carts, porta potties, everything.
Oh,
Picture it bidding on equipment against
the government,
you know, government funding. Like, you know, you're bidding on power and extra fencing and things that are essential for your festival to run, when they're already getting guaranteed payments from the government on a hurricane relief, you know, a couple hundred miles away.
Refugee camps were getting set up at the time too, and they use all the things that, you know, events use.
Yeah.
We're low on
same
the
tents, same
Never thought
fences.
about that.
We're low on the totem pole, so grabbing RVs from individual owners. You know, each one's from a different owner.
Wow.
You're doing that contracting to get that RV there, because the RV parks are gone.
Yeah.
There's a NASCAR race or something else going on that weekend too. So you're just bidding against other events.
Oh yeah, the other events
There's
is a
huge,
whole other thing.
For sure.
I think we you know, when we were relaying like earlier this year, as festivals were coming back, we were saying like it's gonna be a huge bidding war and a staffing war, and honestly, a lot of the veterans and people that have experience on working on festivals, either after COVID they decided to go find something else to do, or they locked in a position with a company, and you know, that's all they do. And that's like right now is like getting this younger generation into the shoes of these more experienced individuals to help fulfill those spaces. And I think we'll see that across the line on AEG, Insomniac, everybody on getting those roles fulfilled. And it's going to take time to get them built up to where they need to be at, because I think we did see a lot of people graduate from, you know, working for
I think there's a great conversation to speak on that with just employment in the music industry, you know, feeling like, and I'm not going to complain saying the music industry has it harder than anybody else during COVID, but how the industry vanished, gone, you know. Brian kept everybody on for as long as he could, you know, with no events happening, which was incredible, and shout out Brian Thomas for that. But I did drywall for 6 months, you know, new skill, you know. I throw great parties. I also put up some great drywall. So I did that for a while. But I think that's where they lost a lot of people. Is a lot of people that were jumping on, going from event to event to event, working, were like, all right, there's nothing to do, so I'm gonna go get a real job, or get a job that's full time, or recession proof almost, you know, pandemic proof. And then they went and got that job. And then when the events opened back up, they're like, I'm good. You know, I'm not coming back.
And then you're split like thin, because all those festivals were laying over top each other. So the people that usually do just travel to each one, I was like, well, now we got to pick one to go work at for everything. Because wasn't Elements the weekend before? Like, even that big one happened?
Bonnaroo, and then everything was getting canceled, right? And Elements went through, right?
Elements went through.
That was the lesson learned on that one, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's what, you know, a festival pushing through with limited inventory and equipment and everything else and staffing, and you know, those
Did
are
they get
kind of
whacked or something? Like, was it not good?
They got hit with like it was a lot of like the ingress, the egress, you know, the parking issues, the mud, you know, the weather, you know, plays a very tremendous part on these kind of festivals. And if you're underprepared, or you don't have all the equipment for it to, you know, properly manage, it could definitely,
because also with like the testing and everything that everybody's doing now, that's a huge piece that was never there before. So now you're putting a whole department involved. You know, if you're doing thousands of people, you have a department that's 15 to 20 people deep, and you're paying nurses and all this.
The COVID testing.
Yeah, the COVID testing.
Oh, I was wondering what kind of testing you're talking about. I figured you would get to it, but yeah, thank you for helping me out there.
Yeah,
it's like testing
the COVID
what?
testing. So that playing into the preparation of these festivals that are now doing vaccination checks, testing, and or, you know, with or without vaccination, you're going to get tested either way. You know, it gets very tricky, because you're like looking at paperwork and, you know, analyzing it. Is it real? Is it not? Or like, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, with our festival, we had everything prepared there. Like, you're getting tests, or you have a vaccination card. Like, you know, those are the two things here. I mean, even though
Dude, that bubble thing, she took a regular ass cotton swab, Q-tip, and slammed it so far up my fucking nose. That's not how that's supposed to go. I don't know if anyone prepped her on how that fucking COVID test works.
Yeah.
It's not one.
Mine was fine.
Yeah,
no problem. Mine was good.
She damn near gave me a bloody nose. It was a fucking regular Q-tip, and she does wow. I mean, it was just like, what are you jousting up there?
CampInn.
Yeah, dude. I was like, yo, I'm gonna talk to my boy Brian about this. I feel violated. Like, where do I fill out? Is there a form?
She's like, it won't be the first time this weekend.
No, but that does add like a total layer of complexity to it when you just got to deal with the COVID stuff, just on top of everything else, right?
Yeah, thank God we're in Florida, man. That's all I gotta say. Now, I don't think we're gonna be seeing a whole lot of that, here. I think they're doing some vaccination checks and that stuff. I don't know if you'll be seeing a lot of the testing on site as we kind of keep on moving along. I mean, cross
I'd be willing to bet not.
Yeah.
Is it a big chunk of change to make that portion happen?
Yeah, the staffing, and I mean, it's just all the companies, they all come at different rates and stuff. You really got to have somebody who's a plug in there that'll get you a good rate and stuff. So, it comes at a cost. We put it against the, either the patron or we had something that weighed against it that could kind of take care of some of the costs. So, yeah.
You sell more T-shirts out there covering this
Sell
one.
some more merchandise. I got
violated. Dirtybird.
No one will get that T-shirt next year when it just says "in" and it's just you and
Yeah,
swab.
bloody Q-tip. Yeah, that's what we need.
Colton's face. Just the swab. Dirtybird CampInn.
Dude, I mean, you guys must have crushed on merch though, because I went back the second day or something.
Yeah, we went back second day, gone.
Everything was swiped,
was
man.
Gone.
Pre-sale.
Yeah, we did a lot of pre-sale on it, and also, we didn't know how it was going to be with 2,000 people locked in on site. Like, beforehand we were planning on 5,000 people between single days and weekend passes and all that kind of stuff. Because we were just in a full lock-in, we didn't know exactly what quantities we wanted to really run at. I think we're definitely prepared for this next go around to be at a way higher.
It was perfect though. Like just not being like back to back, what you usually at a festival. We were like, man, we have room in the pool. This is nice. I can go up and talk to people pretty easily. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. Which I understand definitely more people there will be way better, but it was just like nice.
It's a nice intimate experience when you look at all of it when it's like that.
You're planning 5,000 at that venue?
We were planning on 5,000. It was dependent in and out.
Packed out, boy.
Yeah, I mean the pool definitely could be filled up. The nighttime would have been tough and spread it out across because we would have opened up more of the pool area, made the lobby a little more fuller, and then also, we're going to activate the bottom of the tower too. That would have been much more bigger. So, it ended up just, working out with the 2,000 there.
That was perfect. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was a great experience all the way around. I mean, from the front to the back, I don't
really get FOMO. There was definitely some FOMO at that event being like, man, I wish I could just come to this one,
I never think about that. We were talking about that. Like, man, imagine those that are having to work it and they want to be having a good time. They see everything going on, but they're like, well, this person's throwing up. I got to take care of that now.
You could say that for any event, but for that event specifically, and also just shout out also Dirtybird, like their attendee, their fan base, incredible.
Super loyal.
So good.
But not just that, just a quality person.
A lot more older crowd than we expected.
That was our number one like raving thing about it is that it wasn't a bunch of like 18 or 21.
They know their limits.
They
reach them, but they know.
Don't we all? We were all flirting with the red line, baby. Take a little toe, tap it over, and make sure I'm still alive. But
I think that's what we said during the event was like how we explain this audience is that they are party professionals.
Yeah,
they
that's
know
a great
exactly
way.
They're borderline limits.
Put a little trademark next to that for sure, man. Because everyone was having a great time. I don't think I remember seeing anyone. No, that's not true. We were walking back and we did pass a paramedic, or we were walking with the paramedic, and he had the stretcher thing. We're like, hey, what's going on? Because he's chilling. He's walking. He's cooling it. He's talking to us, and he's like, oh, it's all good. Having a good day. We're like, where are you heading? He's like, oh, we got a code, whatever the fuck, right? We're like, code, whatever the fuck? What do you mean? It's like code black. I'm like, what does that mean?
9th floor.
He's like, no, it's where I'm heading right now. And we were like,
mind you, we're walking back to the tower to go back to our room.
In no rush at all.
At all.
I'm like, cool my puppies, dude. I mean, I'm like walking. This guy is not even fast walking. I'm like, what? like right now? He's like, yeah, right now. And we get up there, they're holding the elevator. There's like 50 people backed up. You know, they're waiting on him. And I'm like, you know, out of everybody, I would think you'd just be a little faster. I don't know what a code black means, but like you would think.
He's like,
stretcher in hand.
He's like, they'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's like, they're either dead, they're not. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, response time is different when you're on site, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you
It
hear
was so
about
funny,
everything
though.
So quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was fine. I think we saw him later. He was like,
he's
oh, yeah,
fine.
everything's good.
Yeah,
He's like, I expected that.
You know, I mean, those guys, you know, they deal with so many situations just based on a couple details. They can probably make out like what the situation's all about. But it was just so funny. He's cool as a cucumber. You know, we're like, I mean, it's not us he's dealing with, but I was just like,
The cops there too that just usually hung out around the pool area, just they were the chillest and just watching with the big smile on their face.
why was there
just
such
like,
a cop presence the second day? After the first, there seemed to be like,
Yeah.
It's the same.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. Everybody's from City Orlando, and City Orlando's great, and we've worked with them for years, and they handle EDC. So, like, you know, to them, this is nothing.
we were walking by outside, and there was an undercover minivan out front, and the cop was like doing something. I was like, "Is that an undercover minivan, sir?" And he was like, "You like that, don't you?"
It's like, not really.
Not really, sir.
A little
No.
unsettling.
Honestly, you know, if we had more cop presence on there, it's probably because they invited some of their friends to come check out what was going on. Because they were like, man, we haven't seen anything like this in like a year and a half. Like, you know,
They
it's
all
got
had a
good
big
vibe.
smile on their face.
And yeah. I mean, I think that's where we get from, like, you know, the people that we work with through the city, through the county, that really understand it. Like, dang, these guys really like to put on a really good show, and they bring really quality, like really good people to come attend. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're not dealing with all the raginess and, you know, issues from, like, you know, the regular public shows that just end up being
This is a
somewhere
piece of
else.
cake, probably compared to EDC for them. That
Yeah,
usually
piece of
happens.
cake.
Yeah.
Well, if you think of the crowd like that listens to like house music versus, you know, some of the heavier EDM type stuff out there anyway, like that's typically going to be a chiller, kind of more mature audience. I feel like, I mean, anytime I go to like Destructo or Excision, anything like that, you know, it's you know, I'm getting wild, right?
Yeah,
Like that, it's just the type of music is that it's meant to be wild too. So it's like, yeah, you got a couple things working in your favor there, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering with, and this might be more of a question for you with the operations, when you're coming up to a festival, right? And you have, and I've always wondered this, you have a blank slate, got your field, you got whatever. Who's like, is it you that's choosing like, hey, this is where this art installation type of thing is going to go, and this is where the vendors are going to go? I always wondered how that layout is chosen out, or do you have someone come in? That's,
I'm all about the team, and
Okay.
we do these walkthroughs. We end up going to these venues, you know, months before and planning it all out and talking it all through, and you know, coming up with everybody's input. You know, we got a sign guy that does signs professionally. This sign will look good here. You know, we talk about it internally. But yeah, just planning it out. I mean, it was great working specifically for CampInn since you guys were there. Those calls were like a Tuesday call, like all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're on the phone with Barkley and Andy and the Dirtybird team, Nicole, and you know, we're just going back and forth about everything. And that was a great experience because like it's so much more than just like show up to the hotel and we have music playing, right? There's so much that goes into it, so much thought, the names. We have like an Excel sheet and just everybody puts in like 50 names each of what we're going to name this stage, and then we select the ones we like, and then we present it, and you know.
when they were like, we want to turn this into a lava lamp room, where you're like, I'll figure it out. All right.
Well, we already mentioned them, and they're kind of like our biggest secret is Guerrilla Productions out of Ocala. Like those guys are great. Those guys are great. They're great to work with, and we've kind of grown with them over the years. Like they love home base, and we love them.
And you know, coming from the lava lamp piece was like, you know, I had Barkley presented a creative like guide, like on where he wanted to go with the creativeness of stuff, and he said something about Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse meets Mad Men, and I had to Google it a little bit and just look into it a little deeper, and of course when I look up Pee Wee's Playhouse, there's lava lamp. There's crazy, like, you know, house with a, you know, bunch of trippy art and stuff inside of it. And honestly, that's where we kind of went in the direction of the design of the entire event. And if you looked inside the flip side room, there was like couches with eyes on it. If you go in the lava lab room, it was all lava lamp designed. And if you went in the artist hospitality room, we put in full all outs, like plants and lava lamps into there. And then the stage on the pool deck, the bird bath ended up becoming this crazy
Clamping
house.
became a thing.
Plamping became a thing before that with Desert Hearts and Mikey and Lee.
And that was the live streams that became very popular over COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
everybody
remember
was like,
those.
"Do you plamp?"
Those are awesome.
That was like a big viral thing about plamping, and because everybody in their in their podcast or their live streams, it was all like lava lamp plant.
Yeah, we gave away. We did the same thing.
Yeah,
didn't
we did the giveaway a lava lamp and a plant too.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever won that.
You're
welcome.
somewhere out there.
Hope it's still plugged in.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, man, because when I think back to, like, you brought up a really good point, Darren, like, just like the team collaboration. So at what point, Brian, did you feel that you let go of you being the bottleneck in that? Because I noticed so much attention to detail. It's impossible for you to micro that, right? So like, take me back to like an instance where you notice like, hey, I need to like let go of control. I don't know if you've always been someone to like trust in other people to kind of take care of your vision, take care of your baby, but like, you know, what were some of the junctions where you realized like, okay, hey, I can trust my team and they're just going to like execute?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I like to have a full grasp on the event as much as possible, to the point of the degree I was like, all right, this is final. This is the vision. All right. I pass it down to Darren and Darren takes on that vision. And, you know, there was a time when we were hitting that year. It was like 2014, 2015, you know, we were going into the full operations of home base of what it was. And I felt like, you know, these pieces are pretty final, and he would go and take the plan and run with it. And I like to design each of the pieces so it's like, you know, exactly how I'd like to see it, and then take it off and put it on to him. And then he makes sure it gets delegated out to our teammates to making sure that it leads in that same direction. So it was honestly that home base event where I started seeing that, where I had to start breaking off those tasks and delegating those roles, because, you know, I can't do it all, but I will go very specific on details. And it's honestly, when you look at festivals, it's all the little things that really count. You know, people remember the little, you know, flamingo thing on somebody's finger as they're tripping balls and like hanging out in the corner and stuff, you know, or, you know, the times when you pick up a napkin and the napkin says, "Are you in yet?" You know, and that kind of stuff. It really does count. And that's what I tell a lot of people when they're producing events or doing, you know, other festivals, like, pay attention to the little things, because that's what really counts.
Yeah. That's dope, man. And Darren, I'm curious, like, how did you guys originally get connected?
Oh, I love this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had actually been vending music festivals for a few years and traveling all over the country and stuff doing that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Just the Hood, but the company was called Black Shoe Market.
Yeah.
It was Just the Hood. And we started that back in like 2010. And we were doing that for a while, and the Etsy like took off and started making six figures, like Just the Hood. Yeah. You know? And just it really crushed. And then so I moved back from Colorado, and then a mutual friend of, you know, ours, Luke Bird, introed us. He was like, "You really need to meet this guy," because my background is also throwing shows in Tampa. I used to own a company called Wampaholics, and then we'd throw like little $2,000, $3,000 dub shows, you know. And we went out to dinner, and he was like, "Can I buy you a steak? Like, let's go do this." And we talked about it, and then I worked MFT Resort, and then he introed, you know, this is a great story too. He introed me to Lisa Marie Poso, and he intros me to her, and I remember. I'm always looking like I'm stressed out, right? I'm always running around doing things. There's just like a million things to do. So I'm running around. And I remember I'm running up to him to be like, "We have a problem. Like, we need to fix this." And she stops me right before I get to talk to him. And she goes, "What is it?" And I was like, telling her, and she's like, "Can you fix it?" And I was like, "I'll figure it out." And what I ended up doing, I don't even know if he knows this story, but we didn't have enough power in the club that we were throwing the show in, the pre-party. So, you know, we have all those lasers that Brooks brought over, and there's just not enough power in the building. So we broke the window for like a unit next door to the club, and we ran the power through there, because like the window was like $100 or $150 to fix, and it fixed the power issue. And I think that's when I grown from like someone who was just like helping out to like, all right, this is a career move.
That's a pretty major problem to fix.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, Sunbelt wants $2,400 to, you know, drop off a last minute generator, or this is a $150 window I can just knock out real quick.
Thinking on your feet.
Yeah. Well, that's when it was like, wow, this makes sense. Like, I can do this operationally.
And that's what I like empower the people that work with us, is like I empower them in the way of making decisions, and making decisions in the way of the vision of what, you know, the goal is of the event, to make sure it's a success. Every interaction with a guest or being able to solve a problem, it's interesting, because we started with a lot of people that were, you know, more work exchange, more volunteer based, and then all of a sudden they started growing, you know, their position positions into more power move positions where they were getting paid. And it's so important these days to be able to make the right decision. And when you're in that spot and you're delegated to do that, it just ends up being, it helps you in making, building character and, making decision making, like better decision making.
Really helps with a peace of mind for you too. Like someone like him can be in a position to where he can make those decisions where you're running other things within the festival going on to where, okay, I know that problem's happening, but I know it's being fixed right now while you're handling other situations, and having those people underneath you must be fantastic right now. Yeah,
exactly. And learning, I think it's so crucial to be able to fulfill every single role around, a festival that gets built. If you want to be growing and succeeding, you got to know what every single power player's moves are in every event on making it happen. So
yeah, and that's where that networking comes into play, right?
Yep.
So when I think about the last time you were here and you're talking about the Grove and that coming up, so we kind of touched on it earlier, but when you see this growing and kind of taking on a life of its own, I mean, what are some of the things that really excite you about the future of whether it's home base or, I mean, is home base the conglomerate? Is that the umbrella that everything else falls under, or how's that work?
So it's underneath Music Festival Trips, and that's as an event promoter, travel agency, full setup. Then you have the umbrella, which is home base. You still have part ownership of Dirtybird CampInn. We were underneath a partnership on that one. We still have Hotel Elsewhere as a partnership as well, and then we have Groove Event Agency as another piece of the umbrella. And what I'm really excited about is
you want to slide me that accountant info? I was talking to an accountant today. I bet you have a good accountant. Yeah. I need the details.
Yeah. and I try and keep it all underneath one, but sooner or later, they all start, once a festival starts reaching a certain level, it becomes its own business. And that's where, we break off sooner or later, CampInn would go underneath one umbrella and just be underneath that full setup. So that's kind of how you got to treat it down the lines, and we're just about there with that one as well.
Yeah.
So, wow. But yeah, for what I'm really excited about is really learning about these newer events, newer festivals, learning about how, we recently just learned about creating a full beer barbecue music festival, a craft beer festival, and understanding the logistics and how it happens. And sometimes you run into walls and, you run into situations where you got to go and figure things out. And that's how you learn. And I always stress to people, if you hit a point where you fail or you get pushed back, you get back up and you tie your shoelaces stronger and you do it the right, you build it the right way and you hit it again. And I tell you what, you'll see really good success come from it down the line. It just never back down.
You want to know his secret? Everybody wants to know. Everybody asks me, they're like, what's his secret? I'm like, he'll just outwork you. That's the secret. He'll just keep going.
What's that look like, Brian? When you hear something like that from someone that obviously has a lot of respect for you, but in your mind, your vision, obviously there's something innate, and I picked up on that last time we spoke, but what's the thing that really drives you to outwork others or to be the best version of yourself? What's the thing that pushes you there?
Man, it's honestly, it's a vision of just everyone being able to come together and just be able to succeed in the same ways. It's like you're inspiring everyone else to be able to be in that same realm, that same mindset. And I really, really love that energy. And I have this vision of where I want to be. I had that vision before that was I want to be able to do one of the biggest hotel buyouts and, big EDM concerts in the industry. And we made that happen, with home base. And then we made it happen with Dirtybird CampInn. Now what was next? And it's been a little bit of through COVID and stuff and looking at that again and re-looking at the vision and where I want to be is being able to grow the venue to where it went from nothing to it's something even bigger. And if we could do that with one, we could do it with many. And if I could give the opportunity for many other people like Darren and, the people that are on my team currently to be able to have a fulfilling job and somewhere where they can live, on a consistent basis, not having to worry about too much and just really love what they do, that's what really drives me. And I love that. And, it's not just about myself or what my business is. It's about the people that grow with us.
So when you think about like taking a nothing venue or like what I hear is something in the Grove is like, hey, there's other festivals, there's other events kind of going on like that. And like, but you want to bring the best version of that to that. Right. But home base or hotel takeovers, like that wasn't really a thing. Right. So it's like for your next step, the next milestone that's like driving you or something like it really gets you excited. Is there something that comes to mind, like that? I have a thought. I'm trying to ask a juicy question, but I'm seeing like, what's the next big thing that you're like, hey, I want to put that on my radar. That'd be sick if I took that thing down.
Yeah. Cause man, I would love to do a multi-hotel full takeover where it's like 3 hotels, full buyouts, and tie them all in together to making something really, really like, it's much more of a substantial economic impact to the area. And I've been pushing for it. I just haven't gotten there yet. And it will happen. I just don't know.
Like 3 hotels, like close by each other?
Yeah, close by each other, something that's just much
just
more
totally
larger.
Freak it, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if I will ever hit like a 20,000, 30,000 person festival. Just
Universal Studios, if you're listening right now, love to jump in on this one.
God damn, if I get some lasers on a fucking roller coaster, that's what LSD was made for. No, so you don't think that you could fucking throw a 20, 30K Rager?
I don't know. I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I've thought about it a lot because when I look at Work Exchange and everything I've done on a festival level, like we filled a lot of shoes. We filled a lot of shoes with people that that didn't trade for a ticket. Could we do that on our own and build something up? Quite possibly. And I don't know if I'd take that full leap yet.
I hear you. I mean,
I'm starting to envision something down the line, though. It's kind of weird. I'm going to look back at this podcast and be like, it's a 100,000 person festival.
Every time he has a new idea, he's like, I got to go back on that podcast. Dang it.
Well, that's what I'm itching at is because so right now with where I'm at with my goal setting, and it's like, it's a word that I had a lot of resistance to for the longest time, but manifestation. I realized when I was clicking and firing on all cylinders, I was manifesting, whether like some people call it praying, right? Some people call it affirmations, like whatever. But like when I was like obsessed about having my goals on a sticky note with the mirror, or like putting them in my car and like listening to audio tape of me literally saying what I was going to do, like that's what inspired me. And then I realized like I just kind of like let go of that. And so that's what I'm curious. Either a goal serves you or it scares you, right? And if goal serves you, you're typically going to move towards it. But if it's too daunting, you're going to not take action towards it. And so however many years down the road that might be for you, that's why I'm curious, like, what's the next goal that serves you, like serves that vision, right? Maybe like right now you're like, I don't really see the path. Like if you ask me how I'm going to make $10, $15 million in the next couple of years, like I honestly don't know. Right. But if you said like, hey, what's the path to $1 million? I can see that, 3 million, like I can see that. I can conceptually like that serves me. And so that's why I was asking that question. Cause man, from where I'm sitting, like I totally see that being a natural progression, bearing you don't fucking run something into a wall. What I mean? Yeah. It's like your capacity seems to expand. You get invigorated by giving other people opportunities to grow into. And so that's, hey.
Here's why I think he'll do it is because you've been coming up right through the system. You started very small with the buses and you've been moving your way up and you've always been like a problem solver, right? Like I can solve the problem very quickly to the point it's going to be successful, it's going to be good, and it'll work out. And you always are confident to make it happen. And then you've been putting people underneath you to make it happen, right? When COVID hit, all these festivals shut down, right? And so no one, or people tried to put something on and it was never working out. Whereas all the experience that you had up to that point was problem solving. How can I make this work? I'm coming from nothing. I'm not a big festival person with millions of dollars to solve my problems. I have to solve it from the bare. And you successfully solve the problems to be able to put on these festivals. And every person that has gone to these festivals has had an amazing time. No complaints coming from it. And people are recognizing that in the industry. You've talked about that where people are recognizing it. And I think you're going to keep leveling up very quickly through that. And this was probably a big hurdle for you, was people recognize that. And I think as the people start leaving the industry, you're going to be that person to fill the void. that's going to come up and solve these problems. And that filling that void is a problem that you're going to solve pretty quickly and professionally in this industry. That's why I think you're going to get there.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, we are a staple here in Florida. You know, when you think about it, when you think of Florida, I think people think of a home base because they come from out of state, and they probably heard of it, like, you know, through you know, other festivals, you know, when they're going to attend, and you know, when we see all these other West Coast companies, you know, if it's entertainment or tech, you know, they're all coming here to Tampa and these areas. You know, it's cool because we've built from the ground up, so we have roots 100%. Here, and you know, I could definitely see a little more of, you know, just you know, we have our hotel festivals, we have our land events, you know, maybe there ends up being a cruise event or something like that, but I think we're going to grow a lot of things back at home, and I really love calling Tampa my home because it's really grown to something, you know, so much more than, you know, just the downtown of what it was like 10-15 years ago. If anybody lived here, there was no River Walk, there was no Armature Works. We now have big VCs here that are buying up a lot of land, building a lot of cool shit, and it's so exciting to see, because now we get to go into this whole new realm of, you know, of really building these relationships that are here, that are new, and then having the roots here is even cooler because now we have the connections to be able to grow faster than somebody who's just starting out new. So yeah, I think we're gonna see some.
Thanks,
cool stuff.
Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Thanks,
right?
Tom Brady.
We got the GOAT.
Yeah, having that grassroots, man, that's a definite advantage.
Yeah.
You know, so when I think about, like, you know, the people that inspire you to, like, grow and push yourself, you know, like, who's in your ear? Like, who are the people that you look to for kind of guidance and shepherding you through, you know, when you encounter a tough problem? Because, like, you know, at the end of the day, when we talk about, like, Darren being your right-hand man, you know, it's like, but you're still the one that's got to make those, like, ideally less decisions but bigger decisions, right? Like, you don't want to be making every small little decision. So, like, who are the people that you kind of, like, look to for guidance and mentorship?
You know, it's interesting because I've been like networking with a lot of people that I just moved downtown. I just moved into a new building. It's a lot of people from out of town. Honestly, I've been really reflecting on, you know, the newer people that have been moving down here, you know, people that are starting on this new venture, but they already have hit a level where they have, you know, really good financial success in their business careers and everything else that I'm learning a lot from. And then the other thing is, you know, working with this partnership with the Grove, you know, the land developer there that gave me the opportunity to really grow the venue. I do look up to him in many different ways because he didn't get to the position where he's at, you know, by surprise or by chance. He built his way there. I love learning on that journey of how people got to where they are. And I do that with a lot of people that I meet. I, like, you know, I ask them what they do and what they, you know, what they're looking to do and how they've learned to get to where they are. And it's interesting. It's how you really grow as a person, is learning by other people's mistakes or learn from, you know, their successes. And, you know, it's almost like you're understanding that energy and you take that in. So yeah, I think it's the people I've been recently networking with. And you know, the new partner that I have on this venue that I'm growing with. So
Some cool people in that building.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. You know, it's people that own their own businesses. They work from home.
The elevator rides are pretty interesting coming up.
Do you like living in a high rise? I mean, what's that? Where'd you live before?
Elevator pitches.
I lived up in New Tampa, man.
Oh, that's right. In a house, right?
Yeah. So, like, up in North Tampa, I mean, this is a suburb. It's not the same up there.
Yeah.
You know, I grew a lot of my connections down in South Tampa when I started throwing those teen parties so long ago.
Yeah.
And I knew so many people down here. I just didn't hang out down here. I always hung out up there. Now that I'm down here, it's like I'm always running into somebody that I know or I'm catching up with, or it's just like completely by surprise. And it's cool because there has been this whole journey that I've met so many people along the way on building on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick, man. Because, yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, that's probably like a totally different experience going from, you know, being up north to, like, now you're in the heart of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Dope view.
Dope view.
Let's talk about that Greenwise, and that's in your building. That Publix,
Right?
that's in your building.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, game changer.
Dude,
Game
I'm
changer
jealous of
right there.
anything, man. Like, the game changer for me was getting Instacart, but Instacart was really screwing the pooch this week, man. They were not delivering in a hot way. I mean, I ordered like $100 of groceries. motherfucker had the balls to show up with
Tomorrow.
1 pound of Brussels sprouts. $100 groceries. I got 1 pound of Brussels sprouts.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, you could have just told me to fuck off. Like, it's like you went out of your way to deliver 1 pound of Brussels sprouts. Like the rest of my groceries, he's like, I couldn't find them. I was like,
But he found the Brussels sprouts.
you got it, dog. You got it.
Man, I would probably blow up if I lived that close to all that food, that good food that's down there around you, man.
It's
Every day, $30.
It's like I got a rewards program going on. No, it's crazy because like you go down to the second floor, you're walking right into Publix and you're going right in, and you know it's a totally different kind of Publix. You got like Chipotle bowl station, you have a
free
sushi bar,
queso and free guac.
Yeah,
What?
free queso, free guac. They have a
Free.
pizza station, a pasta station, beer, wine, full bar. The charcuterie board guy, Joe. Shout out to Joe.
Shout out to Joe.
If I knew how much girls and women love cheese, I would have never bought them flowers. Joe, Greenwise.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Lesson learned, everybody.
But they have a sushi bar. You go down there, like I had an ahi bowl today. That's delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious. Best ahi bowl I've ever had. Greenwise Publix, Heron.
Yeah.
Man.
So Darren, do you just like
I
you spend
just
a lot of
act
time
like I live there.
Yeah.
I'm in the,
spend a lot of time
I'm in the
hovering around the charcuterie board?
I'm in the elevator and I'm just like, yeah.
Hit girls up on Tinder and be like, hey.
Yeah.
Technically, right
You pay
now,
the boost. You boost the Tinder when you're in
While
there.
I'm here.
What are these charges on Hinge?
technically right now we're supposed to be starting up at the office and up in Wesley Chapel and like focusing a lot on the Grove and stuff, which we still are focusing on the Grove events and everything else. We're just working from home back at the Heron, and I do like working from the office and having a sick view and you know being able to be there a lot more right now.
It's a dog friendly work environment.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Gotta love that pooch, man.
Yeah, and he's got a pooch too, but it's not a pooch. It's like it's a dog.
You got a full grown dog?
Yeah, I got an 85-pound Cane Corso.
Okay. That's like that's a man of a dog.
The opposite of the mini Golden Doodle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to keep people backed off at the dog park a little bit.
His dog thinks it's human. My dog knows it's a dog.
So, man, well, hey, Brian, you got any kind of like parting things or stuff coming up that you want to promote, plug, and
Yeah. So we have a New Year's Eve. That's the end of this year. We have a New Year's Eve event, which is for kids and families at the Grove in Wesley Chapel. And then we'll have the New Year's Eve countdown celebration, which will be really, really cool. We did it last year. We're making it bigger. We're expanding it. Great for family, friends, anybody that's, you know, not looking to go to a full EDM rave or somewhere, you know, kind of crazy, classy around here. It'll be a really cool, good time. Home base, Edc Orlando. We stacked up the lineup. It is stupid sick. We were supposed to be at 2 resorts. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to work out with the 2 resort method with a couple different things with creative differences with the hotel and, you know, a couple other things that just kind of fell on the lines of just moving it to one facility. But we booked all the talent across the 2 hotels. And, you know, I was asked, like, are we going to cut back on something? I was like, no, we're going to put them all in one hotel now. So now we just double stacked up the
Every
lineup
stage is
all
a
in
main
one.
stage.
Yeah, so like, I think the one night we have like 2 Wakan rooms and Snails doing a full takeover. You know, all 3 different takeovers going on. It'll be like 7,500 cap between everything. And then, you know, we have each night is stupid stacked. I'm really excited about it. Lots of shuttles, lots of.
I saw one
different parties.
comment on the flyer and it was like, wow, you guys have more bass than the actual music festival.
Why even go over there? Let's just stay here the whole time.
right?
Yeah, and home base is coming up, and then Dirtybird CampInn for 2022. We have dates. They're different than last year. They're earlier in the year. They're right before Okeechobee. Hint, hint. And those
You
will
heard
be
it here
coming out
first.
next week. And
Is that an exclusive?
yeah, that is exclusive.
Hey!
Yep.
Glenn, edit something in there, please. Thank you.
And it's at a new resort, and I'm really excited about it. We're expanding the whole layout, the whole map, and honestly, it's going to be probably one of the hottest festivals of 2022. And if I can't, you know, I'm going to put my bets on. I'm going to make it the #1 festival of the year, and I'm really excited to be able to speak after it and just be able to go into that full recap of everything.
We'll be back.
Absolutely,
Oh,
man.
for sure.
We'll do the recap after that.
Yeah,
So
I
if
can't wait
people
to
want to
do that.
follow up, where can they find you? Where can they get more info?
Yeah, at homebase.com, BASS, or they could go to dirtybirdcampin.com. And, you know, if they want to follow us personally on Instagram,
Duality Lab.
at Duality Lab, at the Brian Thomas.
And Glenn, you know what to do with our socials, man. Throw them up there. Do what we got to do. Hey, we're Professional Hippies. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you. If you think someone's going to love this, give them a shout out. Throw us out on the pages. Home base is where it's at. We'll check you guys next time.
Thank you all.